Hey folks, welcome back. Well, the Lincoln is in the shop because it's currently sort of not running because it's running out of fuel. Not running out of fuel because there's no fuel in the tank, it's just running out of fuel because it can't get it to the engine. I daily drive this car pretty much every day because there's a couple of cool factors. Number one cool factor is it's just a cool car. The other cool factor is actually a cool factor, the AC. I thought the AC worked great last year, but this year it works even better. And you can check out some other videos that I have here as far as what we did to get this thing to cool down to about 32 degrees on an almost 90-degree day using 134A. Anyways, aside from that, I took this car, I filled it up, drove about 15 miles into the little bit larger town in our area, and it just died, and I had to push it out of the way. Basically, when that happened, I pulled the fuel line off right here, nothing coming out, and I was actually cranking the engine over here with a screwdriver just so I could, you know, sit here and watch. Nothing came out. Went down and pulled the line off just like it is right now on below the fuel pump, and a whole bunch of fuel came out of there. So then I walked up a couple of blocks, got a new fuel pump, and got fuel pumped to the carburetor, and away we went. I ran through that full tank, went and filled this car up again, went to that same town, and it died on me again. So again, I pulled the fuel line off here, cranked it over with the solenoid, and nothing came out here. This time, however, though, I went down here, undid the line through there, and there was nothing coming out of it. And I had the same thing, I had filled the tank plumb full, and then what I did was I just, you know, put my mouth over the line. Just be careful about what you're, you know, doing, and I blew back into there, and I felt something dislodge, something, you know, it was really hard at first, but then it went. And then as soon as I did that, and I was kind of parked on with the nose kind of down because it did kind of go down a little bit of a hill where it died at, and then fuel just started running out of here. So I hooked the line back up, boom, we've got fuel coming out of that line, hooked it back up, and away I went. And then ran through all that tank, and by then I was like, okay, there's something floating around in the gas tank or something along those lines. And so I just left it. I ordered a new fuel sender, which is right there. We'll look at it a little bit later because we're going to end up having to drop the tank to get a look inside of there to figure out what's going on. Could have it possibly that I didn't even need a fuel pump the first time. Maybe it dislodged it by the time I pushed the car over. I don't know, but that was just the way it went. This time, however, it's still not currently running because when I parked it, I moved it from behind my shop out front and backed it, and it kind of sits at an incline like this, so it was sitting with the rear end down a little bit. And I went and started it up to actually bring it in the shop here. It started up and ran for a little bit, just kind of letting it warm up. Not too much, I mean, but just enough that you can, just, you know, warm enough where you can get this thing in gear with it, not having to be like at high RPM and all that with a choke on or dying when you put it in gear. Usually for this car, a couple minutes or whatever works just fine in the warmer weather. And then it died, and I wasn't getting any fuel back out of there again. But this time when I thought, okay, maybe now it's sitting like this, you know, with the back end down, you know, so maybe I'll just put a couple gallons in there. We'll end up putting 3 gallons in there, and it's I'm still not getting any fuel coming out of here. I can blow through the line, and so what I think's going on now is maybe, and we'll look at this, you know, but maybe like this deal here or something like that broke off. This is what the fuel sender looks like, and you know, maybe something is still plugging it up, or this deal broke off and it can't reach as far. I don't know. we'll just have to see, but it's just barely pulling fuel. I went and put a electric pump on it, try to draw some fuel out of there, and it just won't. I just didn't want to put any more fuel in it, since pretty much got to be dropping the tank anyways. So that's the plan now, is got to get this thing up in the air and get that fuel sender pulled out of there. I think you can pull them out of here without dropping the tank on these. I can't remember. We'll find that out though. So just keep watching and we'll just keep on going. Well, here's a little bit different view of where we were looking at from underneath right here with the fuel pump and your main fuel line here. There's no return system on these cars, but the fuel line just runs back here along the frame, and usually it's all steel most of the way there until you get up to right there, and then like right here is where the sender goes into. So right there is basically what we're gonna end up doing, is we're gonna pull this plug off of here, and just pulls right off. You know, we'll look at these all a little bit closer and everything like that, but anyways. And then, you know, sometimes in your rubber parts in the fuel line you can have cracks, and you know, like this fuel line, you can see it's got some cracks. I don't know, these lights are so bright on the camera. These little LED pin lights, I like them, but on the camera they're bright. But anyways, we're gonna get that line cut off. We're gonna replace it. But what I was saying was, you could have an instance where if you got a bad fuel line here and it's got a crack in it, you won't see a leak, but it'll be sucking air, and that fuel pump won't be pulling fuel. This line can also do it right here, because this is the suction side of the fuel pump, and it's got to be able to suck that fuel and then push it on this steel line up to the carburetor. But if it's got holes and cracks, and like I said, it's gonna be sucking air, you won't see a fuel leak all the time. But anyways, let's get that off of there. And then what there is there's a lock ring. You usually take like a screwdriver, and you just get on one of these notches here, and you're gonna rotate this thing about a quarter turn, get a screwdriver and a hammer, and just pound it. You can see the little lip. Let's get this so I can focus. You can see this deal right here is underneath this tab. You know, I don't know how well that's showing up, but all right, got an old school drop light, just with an LED bulb inside of there. But these are so much better as far as lighting in here, even with the camera. But this is what we're looking at as far as that goes, and how that goes in there. So then your you know, your fuel, as your fuel level goes up, your float goes up, just like that. So there isn't any notches or anything like that on this. These might be notches right here that'll tell you which way to go in there, but that's why you just need to pay attention to how it's oriented. But it's going to go in exactly like that. But I'm pretty sure that these two notches right here probably fit into some slots. We'll find out when we get it. Usually they do. But anyways, what we're going to do is pull that fuel sender out first. After that, we'll go ahead and get this tank dropped out of here. So I'll show you how to do that. One thing I mentioned before, before you remove the fuel line and all that stuff, is go in here with some kind of brake cleaner or something like that. Spray it all clean and blow it all dry, so that you know, this was fairly clean, but it's always nice for it, you know, not to have anything around here that could eventually fall in the tank if you're not end up, you know, dropping your tank. But even then, you still don't want to do it. And I just sprayed a little bit of penetrating oil on that lock ring there, just to make that easier to come off. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'm just going to come up from up here, got a really long screwdriver, and stick it on one of these tabs. Need a little bit more. There we go. That is lock ring. And then put it back on the same way. So now we should be able to grab this, pull it out of here. Well, theory was wrong about this, but it is pretty raggedy shape. So it was dipped in fuel, so it could just be really plugged out. Let's get a different camera view and we'll look at this. All right, so this is what it looks like here. This is kind of some screen type of stuff, but it's all just falling apart. And layered a little bit. I can't even really see much through it, but I don't know if that matters or not. But you know, the pickup's right here in there. I don't know if we can pull this plastic deal off of here and see. I'm just gonna blow through this. It's plenty, it's not plugged up or anything like that. So combination of what we could have had going on was either just not reaching enough fuel based on what was in the tank. Maybe I just didn't put enough in it for how it was parked, or we had the crack in the fuel line, which I don't know what I did with that fuel line. A lot of times you just have to take a Stanley knife and just cut these off of here, but if you look at this, you know, that could have been sucking air. So could have just been a coincidence of what, you know, you want to get this kind of stuff off, get new fuel lines and stuff like that as a maintenance thing. You know, it's possible, but that could have been sucking air. It's possible that there's another spot maybe somewhere else. I don't think so. I think it's steel line all the way to this point right here, because it doesn't really need to be. It's all solid frame. It just needs to be rubber where it goes here to get to the, you know, because your engine's going to move a little bit. And speaking of that, we have a bonus at the end of this video as far as we got a clunking noise this thing is making when you take off from a stop and go sign, like really hard. I suspect a broken engine mount, and so we're going to show how to check for that, and then there'll be another video on how to replace it, or both. We'll probably do both of them if that's the case. So basically, I'm going in here with my camera. Quite the glare on that, but not really coming out very good. And there's nothing really big, but you can see that there's some pieces and stuff there, you know. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull this thing out, get it. Doesn't look that bad, but there's nothing in it. I mean, it doesn't have baffles or anything like that. It's kind of interesting. So that gas can just slosh around, but yeah, this is going right in the same hole as where the sender was out of. So, you know, it's just a big, long, narrow gas tank. So, all right, first thing we got to do, get these 4 bolts out of here. I'm not exactly sure how this comes apart, but we're going to get these 4 bolts out of here and see what that looks like. Okay, so this is actually fairly easy to do. I'm going to try to do it without like knocking you all over, and you know, I don't really know how to get a different shot of this, but I'm grabbing a hold of the this deal here. I got this, you know, it's loose now. I'm going to pull it. At the same time, I'm going to reach right in here and pull this out. Just like that. And so that is loose and it's free. of the fuel tank, and then it's just hanging out here like this. That's pretty cool. I like that. The last old tank I did just had a metal, you know, permanent fill right here, you know, and it so basically now, you know, like I said, that's all ready to go. So now all we got to do is get what looks like a 9/16 or 5/8 maybe. I think it's 9/16. Lubricate them deals up and buzz those off, that get these straps off. But as you get those off, this is kind of hinged a little bit. These straps should swing down enough, and you should be able to support the tank. I don't think I'm going to be able to show that, but that's essentially what we're doing, because everything else, I don't know if we're going to find another vent line of some sort. I would think there's got to be something. There's something up there. Here's something right here. I got to figure out if this is probably a vent line of something, you know. 79 is what year this car is, so it's going to have some emissions stuff on it, but I'm pretty sure that is going right to the tank. Yeah, 100% positive now. So we'll get this line off of here, which is really old and brittle. But that should be, you know, that goes up towards the front somewhere to probably try to trap it, you know, somewhere to leak, you know, for fumes and stuff. I mean, they weren't really that big into that kind of stuff yet, but they're on their way. So anyways, get a better shot of this with the light. But yeah, that's got to go to the tank. It's even clipped onto the tank, so it's got to be there. So we'll get it off there, off that deal right there, and then we'll get them straps off, and this tank should be ready to come down. Okay, so this is exactly what I thought. You know, this will just swing down. You can probably get these, evenly get these out and out of your way. See how they just twist in here like this, and like that. You know, this would have to be pushed up some more. It sagged down when I took that side down. I loosened the other side, but we'll just do that. These are actually 15 millimeters. 5/8 fits really pretty loose, and a 15 millimeter fits snug. I don't know about that. That's just the way it is. So anyways, I just gotta push up on this and get that bolt out of there, and then just bring this tank down. And there it is. So that's where our sender went. There's that hose I told you about like that for the vent line. We're gonna end up replacing that with just some, you know, we're just gonna use some, looks like vacuum line, but we'll just use some regular, looks like 1/4 inch fuel line. And you know, this is that rubber deal here. It's got kind of a lip, you know, all that looks like it's in good shape. I imagine this is replaceable if you could find one. So I'm gonna get all this cleaned out of here, but this is gonna make it pretty nice as far as cleaning this tank goes, because I'm gonna really easily be able to dump everything out, almost everything out of here. The only thing that's really a bummer is that hole not being really big enough to put my hand in there, because that's really, you know, one way to clean the tank. I just did that the other day on a like early 2000s Dodge Ram, you know, and just reached inside there after we drained it and sloshed and cleaned it, put new gas in it, sloshed it around, and took rags and wiped it around inside. We're not really going to be able to do that here, but we'll figure it out. But anyways, these are pretty cool. So these studs right here can come out. It's just a square-headed bolt, so you could actually find and replace these if you had to. Things were so much easier, better to work on, I thought, than they are now. But you know, just leave that in. Both of those will come out. There's the other strap. I had to kind of bend it just a smidge to get it around this, but it didn't bend much. It was fine. So anyways, you know, and while you're under here, look around for some other stuff, because look at this. I got a brake line needing to be replaced here. And then yeah, like actually maybe right now, well, we'll do the bonus footage of the motor mounts towards the end. Well, you can get this thing to come right out of here, and I am going to source one because you can see that this thing does have some just a big old crack in it. Rubber's pretty pliable, so the other thing too is that makes this opening up right here. So basically what I did is I just sloshed everything right down here to the very end, and you can see I got all of those little pieces right there, but I'm going to easily be able to get those out of there right here with a either a Mighty Vac or just a piece of rag, and just dip my fingers. I could reach my fingers in there, but I don't know if going to be able to how well it's going to come out on the camera. But there's that vent, you know, the top deal there. This tank is extremely good shape, really nice and clean, really already, and so lucky with that. And then, you know, just get these little pieces out of here like that, and we'll be good to go with putting this thing back in. Might as well just do the sender out here, I think, and while it's flat like this, and then yeah, I can even film that better or whatnot too, so it doesn't really matter. Either way, looks like I was right about them two slots right there. They're gonna go right in here, and that's gonna keep that thing from, you know, getting put into this position or this position and all that. So that's pretty easy. So anyways, I wasn't sure about, you know, when I looked at this, you know, I made sure that it had the two terminals, but when I got this in the mail, I was like, oh crap, that one terminal doesn't go to anything. And I thought maybe it had the two because of the low fuel warning, you know, because you get down there and it warns you low fuel, you know, because there's, I mean, obviously there's two terminals there, you know, but if we look at this, it just has one wire going to it, and so it must do something different as far as the low fuel. And it, you know, it has two terminals here. So I got the right sender. This came off of eBay, 250, 270, something like that, dollars, I don't know. So anyways, when I first got this, like, oh no, maybe my low fuel is not going to work, but it should. We'll test it out, because we can get all this put together before we put any gas in it, and see if that light comes on, put some gas in it, and then we'll see if it goes out. You know, the other thing too is we could plug this thing in, run a jumper wire just somewhere on the ground, you know, and you could test your gauge and see if your gauge works, you know, by doing it out here. I know that my gauge was working just fine before, but it should be, you know, should be fine this time now. So anyways, there it all is. Got it dried and even blew it out with, you know, air compressor kind of all towards this end. Nothing, I mean, it's clean. Yeah, you can see like I already threw away the rag that, you know, it's the other thing about using white rags like this. They come out, you know, I think that might have been the second one I used. You can see all the crap that, you know, that came out right towards the end because I was filling that up. And then when it got full, this was the last bit of it that I sloshed around, you know, just kind of sloshed here, made sure everything kind of just, you know, would move along with it, and got it up on the end there, and then poured it all out. And that's when I had that little itty bitty stuff left there you saw before. But here's most of all that crap is out of there. And I mean, it wasn't much either. So anyways, one other thing we're gonna do is we're going to take some compressed air, and we're gonna blow it in this line right here. You know, right now we got fuel kind of in there, but that's just because see how it drops down right there. We're gonna blow and see, you know, make sure that that's all cleared out of there. I've been looking in here, is trying to find any other area as far as, you can see where the fuel line kind of snakes right there. And then it goes and it bends around there. It'd be hard to replace. Probably if you needed a new fuel line, you'd probably just, you know, here, and it runs right here. It's all steel, so we shouldn't have any more issues than that, unless we have a hole somewhere in this line. And you know, we'll know that when we get everything hooked back together. I even took some brake clean. This is now back here behind the axle, and shot some brake clean and kind of filled this up a little bit there and put an air nozzle into there, and then it blew all the brake clean all through there. So we are not blocked anymore. If we were, I don't think we were, but you know, it's nice clean fuel line. You know, this car doesn't have a lot of, you know, it's got some surface rust and stuff like that, but it's in very, very good condition because we don't have like rusty, you know, floor pans. We've got a little bit. So here's a little bit right here. Probably should actually do something with that before it gets worse. I never even really looked at it, but the rest of them all looked really good. This thing did live its life over on the Oregon coast, so there's lots of salt in the air when you're in places like that. Not necessarily does it get on vehicles like it does in the Rust Belt, northeast of the United States, but you know, as far as I think that the exhaust is original, but you know, who knows? But it's in great shape, and we are going to have to replace the muffler fairly soon. And then in other videos, we got a leak out of here, so we're going to replace all these seals. That's going to be in another video doing that. And then I don't know if we do that, maybe we do these U-joints, I'm not sure yet. He's kind of a double cardan joint right here. This looks original because they've still got the factory, you know, they inject this kind of stuff. Basically what you have to do is just kind of heat this up. The stuff will like ooze out of here, and you'll be able to pound these caps out and stuff like that. But pretty original. But it's got that double joint and that double joint there. But yeah, we'll be doing this Ford 9-inch rear axle. All the pickup trucks and all that stuff had them, and then we'll be doing rear brakes and all that stuff on it too in the near future. But let's keep on going with this. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and get this cinder put in here. We got this rubber piece back in. It's real easy to slide back in there. And then I'd probably put a little bit of like some kind of lubricant of some kind, Vaseline, maybe a thin layer of grease, so that you don't catch any of these rubber things, you know, with your tube here, you know, and cut it when you're going back, and it'll slide back in there easier too. So anyways, there's a little rubber seal right here, and we got us a new one to go right there. You can put a little bit of Vaseline or something to make this sticky. It's probably not a bad idea. There's a little groove that seal goes into. Okay. Now this, you remember, it goes in, you know, with this pointed up, but I'm not exactly sure what proper procedure is for getting this in. That right there. Okay. Get it fit in these grooves here. Hitting somewhere in there, so not sure what Alright, so what we've got going on here is that this is just a smidge too long, and it's hitting in the bottom here. I mean, my tank's not dented or nothing. You'll run into that with aftermarket parts. It really doesn't surprise me. But anyways, what I'm gonna do, this comes off pretty easy, and I'm just gonna, it'll go in here and it'll stop. It can't go anymore. So what I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna take a little die grinder and I'm just gonna cut about that much off this deal right here, stick this back on, we should be good to go. And basically what was really nice was being able to take the flashlight and look through the fill hole over there to be able to see that. Anyways, I got this got that cut now, so I'll stick this on here. Oh, there we go. And now we should be, that was in easier. And there we go. I'm gonna look through the fill, make sure that everything. I'll show you guys that camera view too when get my tools ready here to get the lock ring put back on. Okay, got the lock ring kind of started. I'll show you that particular, just see how it's kind of started. See, this is kind of flipped up just a little bit. Now it's started, but we're going to get it all the way to where this is right in here, and it kind of just locks in as it kind of pushes and goes down. So you can kind of do this as far as you can, and then just go ahead and just tap it. And then it's got these little nubs. Come on, camera focus. Those little nubs right there. So now this, because we went clockwise here, so now those little nubs butt up against there. It's in there nice and tight. Let's see if I can get a view of what everything looks like in here. You can see how close. I'm trying my bestest. How close that is to the edge there, but it's really hard to focus this camera, but anyways, that's there. It's float swung out over there, but so anyways, that is, rotate this back up, maybe we can get a better view of it now. There we go. See how close that is? It just needed that other ½ inch cut off of there, but and then we also know that the float's going to move freely and everything like that, so we should be good to go. Get this thing put back in, and then we got our new fuel line here, just 1/4 inch fuel line, this just for this vent hose. I think I'm going to try to rotate this whole thing so that this bends forward. Not that it's a huge deal, but it's easier, and remember that connects up there. So, all right. So all we did was just get that thing kind of started in there. Remember to lubricate that rubber around there a little bit, and then just shove it in, push it in there like that. And then, just line up your bolts, and that goes in there. So then all we got to do over here is reattach this line, and it doesn't have a clamp. It doesn't need one. It's on there pretty tight. It's just for a vent. But just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna take and we'll probably put this on last, but I got another 3/8 fuel line going between there and there. Well, and there we are. Now this has got a let's see if I can unplug it and see how it goes there, and it kind of matches the contour of this deal right here. That way it goes on. So everything's looking really good. I like worm style clamps better, and then I just like zip tying, you know, things that might just flop around a little bit. I'm kind of particular about stuff like that. And you know, light it up, and this is actually probably by a long ways the easiest fuel tank I've ever removed from a car. It was a little heavy. It was probably about this full. You know, it probably had maybe 5 gallons in it, so it was fairly heavy getting down, but getting up was a breeze without nothing in there. Just a breeze. So anyways, well, let's see if this works, and we'll go check the gauge, and you know, see that low fuel light and all that, to make sure all that stuff still does what it's supposed to do. Well, first, before we check it, before we bring this thing down, let's have a look at these engine mounts, like I said I was going to. You can see, possibly could see a crack right there, and I can really see one on this side. Let's get a better light. All right, see that crack there? If I get this light to stay there, and then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this, it's a jack stand, but we're gonna put a little bit of pressure at this block of wood right here. You don't want to do too much, but it's lifting the engine up by a little bit. Check this side. This is the side right here. I think that's the engine mounts are just all messed up. So basically every once in a while that engine goes up and down. You don't want to do it too much on that oil pan, but you should be all right, you know. But yeah, we'll have to do a video on getting those things replaced. We'll do that later on. Well, so far so good. We've got the low fuel light is illuminated. Gauge is down below empty, or at empty, or whatever you want to call it, because she is plumb empty. So we'll get this thing filled up, a little bit of gas. All right, so we got our fuel line hooked back up there. Right now I got it disconnected right here from, you know, where it goes into the carburetor. And then, you know, you can jump between, you know, this small terminal. I like to use the small terminal to the one on the battery here, rather than just going straight from this one to this one, because depending on what you're using, if you're going from here to the small one, you're just actuating a little bit of power across here. There's less of a spark. Your solenoid actuates, it's designed to do what it's supposed to do, rather than going across here where you get a, you know, you might have a little thin screwdriver or something like that. Sometimes they get pretty hot, they can melt and all that kind of stuff. So I just go from here to here. I'm just going to use this this Lone Wolf 2000 right here, and the key don't need to be on or nothing. It's all mechanical. We're just going to crank the engine over. I actually forgot this thing is trying to run, so I'm going to go ahead and but it's every time you push power, it's back feeding into the, well, not back feeding, but it's, I don't know, it's wanting to fire. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it run. All right, so now we got fuel. It's really easy to actually just spray a bunch of brake clean on there and just blow all that out. Get the fuel line hooked up first though, so you don't blow nothing into that. Well, we got it filling, and car's actually just running right now, so starting to come up. Low fuel light's gone out, so that's all working. Oh, my favorite part when this car's running, just looking down that long hood at the hood ornament, is perfect. Anyways, yeah, we're cruising along here. I'll see if I can get a shot. We got a full tank of gas, and everything's running good. Nice clean fuel tank, new fuel sender. We should be in good shape. Didn't really find anything it really jumped out at me as far as plugging it up, but maybe there was something I blew out. You know, maybe there was something with that hose that was all cracked and it was sucking air. I don't know. Only thing we can do is try it. We're getting fuel to it now. So, and even with that tank plumb empty, I put about 2.5 gallons in it, and that was able to get it to drive across the street over to the gas station. Put about 19.5 gallons there, so it's just a smidge bigger than, you know, it's supposed to be a 20-gallon tank, but they always have room for a little bit extra, so, you know, we should be all right. But hopefully this helped you out some. We got more to come with those engine mounts and 4 9-inch rear, you know, to do on this thing. And anyways, thanks for watching.